All right, we are here with Mr. Tom House.
Starting 9 in the house.
Who just, by the way, got his COVID vaccination before you got in here, Dallas. He warned us that if he passes out, that we're the ones that have to call for help right now. He's waiting right now to make sure that all goes according to plan.
Doc, I don't know how well I'll be able to execute the mouth-to-mouth via the Zoom, but the effort will be there.
Yeah, and just don't tell me what you're doing. I'll be fine.
Well, this has been a long time coming for myself. I am very excited about having Dr. Tom House on with us. You have lived, in my opinion, 1,000 lifetimes. You've been everywhere, seen it all on the baseball diamond, and have continued to make an impact even after you have hung them up so many years ago. And I think it's pretty obvious. We're going to start with what we have celebrated in our sport over the last week or so, and that is the passing of the great Hank Aaron. And you have such a special place in history, not only as a teammate and because of the front row seat to watch him handle the things that came his way, but also because you made probably the best catch of your entire life in the bullpen. Dr. Tom House, the man who caught number 715 from Hank Aaron. And you've explained, we had areas set up, we were cordoned off, you couldn't come over here, you couldn't come over. So just briefly, because I know you're probably tired of talking about it, but for our fans who haven't heard it from the horse's mouth, for you, like knowing what you had just witnessed.
Well, it was a highlight of my major league career, which is the good news. The bad news is it was a highlight of my major league career. So seriously, as I look back, it was pretty special to be involved with Henry Aaron in even a small way. Was literally for me game changing. And everybody talks about what a great catch it was. If I would have stood still, it would have hit me in the forehead. The only thing I can say is on that particular day, I was unconsciously confident because I caught it. And then I don't remember anything until I was at home plate giving it to him. So for those of you that are listening first time, I literally cannot remember anything after catching the ball until I got face to face with Henry at home plate. So that's pure. That is exactly what happened. And you can dance around it, but that's the way it is.
Now I got to maintain a relationship with him after. I mean, you're giving him the ball back. I mean, I don't know at the time, because I remember when Bonds broke the record, there was a whole to do about what's going to happen to the baseball, how much is it worth, and you just walk up and hand this baseball to Mr. Henry Aaron, no thought, just like, hey, this is yours, you deserve this. So were you able to like maintain a relationship with him afterwards? Like, what was that like? What was the moment like where you gave him the baseball?
Well, there's two great questions in there. The idea being that, the ball was worth X. It was actually quantified at about 25 grand, which in 1974, minimum salary in the big leagues is what I was making. And that was right around 12.5. So it was double the salary that I was making in a whole year. Mm-hmm. But I honestly believe there's nobody on the field that would have done anything different than me. And that is get it right to Henry as quick as possible. Mm-hmm. And then obviously what that did for me to be connected with Henry, both on and off the field in a baseball and non-baseball way, was one of the more special things in my life. Henry was quietly competent at everything he did, probably the most quiet superstar I've ever been around. He was equally that off the field and it's no secret, there was racism then like there's racism now. This was a man that was just as much of a superstar in that arena, trying to make change for the better, that he was on the field. Did that make sense? So again, being around him on and off the field was being mentored by the quietly competent Henry Aaron. Now, we broke up a little bit. Are we okay still?
Good to go. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So anyway, that's again so privileged to be a small part of a memorable event, and the fact that it carried on right up until his death, where I was able to give him a shout or have somebody I knew give him a call and they'd talk. I can't tell you what that meant to me.
Now I I do want to touch on something here, and I have questioned this and thought about how you have processed this, because I wouldn't even dare put you and I in the same category. But what I'm getting at is I had one good day of work, and that's what I will always be known for. I understand that. I get it. For you, though, you have talked about it jokingly as well, about that moment that you caught the ball and handing it to Hank being the highlight of your major league career. But 1974 was the highlight of your major league career. That was a career year for you, my friend. We're talking about 100 innings logged. We're talking about a sub-2 ERA, a sub-1 whip. So have you at any point in time taken the time to give yourself that pat on the back and remember that, you know what, 74 was a great year. It'll live on forever in my mind, but I was pretty damn good that year myself too.
Dallas, I'll tell you what, you and I have so much in common besides being notorious flakes. My career, and Don Zimmer said it best, I was marginally consistent, but consistently inconsistent. Figure that one out.
Sure.
I was marginal, one good year, and right back to marginal. The fact that it all happened in 1974, and I actually truly believe this, catching Henry's home run took all the pressures of being a 10th man on a 10-man pitching staff off my back. And I was able to go out and just play the game like a 12-year-old. And I truly believe that's one of the reasons I had a great year that year.
That's awesome. Do you know where the ball is today?
Well, I gave it to him, and I know it's on display at the right time of the year at the Hall of Fame. But I think Henry keeps it in his possession more than the Hall of Fame has it. But I do know the ball got there, and it also got basically my face about me in his exhibit in Cooperstown. So when I'm telling the lie, it's a true lie. I'm actually in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Not because I did anything other than stand there like Forrest Gump and be at the right place at the right time.
That's incredible.
Hey, that works. That's you and me both. I'm there. I don't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
I'm in there though.
And I'm not going to turn my back on it. But realistically, you and I know that the game from the outside is a wonderful game. It's harder to get there than it is to stay there. But once you've done, even if you had just one day, it's special for the rest of your life.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And that is why what you have done and how you have continued to evolve yourself is so intriguing, because we've just laid out your connection to Hank Aaron, the history of the game, one of the most intriguing and powerful moments in American history, not just sport, but American history. And you're a baseball man, 10th man, as you said, in the bullpen. And now here you are today, having founded, which is one of the coolest things going on the internet, in my opinion, your new company, Mustard. And for the folks who understand who Pitching Ninja is, all the cool gifts and the trails and everything, this is essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, Doc, but the evaluation and assessment of biomechanical movement through an app on the internet. So you want to see someone throwing 100, Pitching Ninja's got that. You want to figure out how to keep your torso stacked over your hips? Well, Mustard is probably the avenue for you. So how were you able to navigate from the field right into these waters and seemingly dominate?
Well, you've nailed what you just said, nails exactly where we are right now. I was blessed to be right at the tail end of old school and the beginning of new school. And new school just represents basically the quantification, the science, and all the technology that allows us to measure and quantify what old school had to do by experience and what they thought their eyes were seeing. So again, right place at the right time. What I did toward the end of my pitching career was get involved with science through motion analysis, where we could actually take a pitcher's delivery and break it down at 1,000 frames a second instead of the 32 frames a second that their eyes see, and actually to determine what they were doing. And so that was 1986 is when we acquired that technology. I was with the Texas Rangers at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that led us to where we are right now, where you have all these analytics people out there. You've got all these people that have unbelievable science that are capturing and measuring. The one thing that I've been able to do, and what Mustard has been able to do, is actually give you a measurable and a deliverable. Not only tell you why you did it, how you did it, but exactly what you need to do to make it better or sustain it. So think of Mustard as a cell phone version of me. And what we're trying to do, you guys, is democratize what elite athletes get every day and make it available to a mom and dad of a 12-year-old, boy or girl who under normal circumstances in today's sports world will quit playing their sport by age 14. We want to give them information and instruction that will keep them healthy and allow them to perform and have some fun while they were doing it. And that literally is the power of play. We're measuring it, and Mustard gives everybody access to what our elite guys get.
Was there a turning point for you where, when you first started out with this technology, where you had to pitch it to teams and to athletes, to where someone that used it is now advocating for it, and now it's like you're being sought out instead of you having to sell it to other people?
Well, again, you guys have done your homework, and I'm so appreciative for you to bring it up like it really is and was. When I first started putting the stuff out there, people looked at me like I had spinach on my teeth. The greatest right we have as human beings, let alone being athletes, is the right to change. And when you bring something in to an environment where it forces people to think about change, it's a little intimidating. And that confirmation bias, getting people over, only paying attention to what they see, what they already believe, it took a while. In fact, I think I beat my head against the wall for 10 or 15 years until people like a Nolan Ryan or a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees would actually validate the science. And I'm telling you,
that's something, Doc. I've read damn near everything you've put out, and I'm trying to think of the excerpt that this comes from, or the book that this excerpt comes from. But you mention the moment in time that you're in the lab, basically, not physically in a laboratory, but you're working with Nolan on the mound, and he's telling you, look, when I lift my leg this high, when I lift it high, when I get it up here, I can feel something, and I throw really hard. So I don't know what your computer's telling you, but I know that when I lift my leg way the hell up here, 100 comes out of my arm. Now you tell me how that works, Doc.
Perfect. Perfect. What you just said, I learned more from them than they learned from me, but none of us knew what we were looking at.
Right.
I knew that no, it sounds funny, but it's the absolute truth. I probably sat in front of that damn computer for 2 years, not even knowing what I was doing. You just, okay, good. I got motion analysis. I'm capturing data. How cool is this? Well, what the heck do you do with it? but those epiphanies, those moments, zeitgeist moments, I think is the right word.
Yes.
Where Nolan will say something, you go, oh, we can measure that. Aha. And that leads to this, leads to that. And it actually gets us to where we are right now, where I can look anybody in the eye and say, with your cell phone and the Mustard app, we can tell you what your child's capacity is and projectable capacity is based on the data that we've captured over the last 30, 40 years. So it's a pretty cool time for me.
So, I mean, that's fascinating for me to hear as a baseball fan, because, on the surface, Nolan Ryan is the prototypical type of pitcher who on the surface would appear to be a guy that's like, take your data and shove it. Like, I just go out there on the mound, I throw 300 innings. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I just do it, and I throw hard, and I strike a lot of people out. But it is very interesting to hear that he was not only open-minded to it, but he applied some of this. Like, what were some of your personal interactions with him like in the very beginning? Like, was there a convincing process where you had to say, like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. See if you see it too. See if this works for you. Like, what were those experiences like with him specifically?
Well, I'll tell you right now, he is the smartest athlete I've ever met. I think he has a high school diploma, but he's got 5 PhDs as far as understanding what his body did and had to do. So I listened to his words. Tom, I throw harder when I lift my leg higher. I try to grunt in front. The tireder I get, the faster I want to go. Shut up until I line it up. He would not let me talk until no, it sounds funny, but he just say, shut up until I line it up. And finally, one day I asked him, what does line it up mean? And he said, Tom, I need to figure out what my body is doing today before I can take on any more information. And what he was able to do was give me indications of what his body was feeling and doing. And then we actually quantified it on the computer. And then the fact that he would, like when I brought out the football,
yes.
When you ask anybody in my generation what kind of a pitching coach I was, they say, well, yeah, he was the dude that threw the football. Yeah, but we knew for a fact that throwing a football, you can't make it spiral unless you got good mechanics. And because it weighed 15 ounces versus a 5-ounce baseball, there was some strength training involved. But when I brought it up, I said, Nolan, you want to try the football? He said, I'll try it, but don't have your feelings hurt if I say I'm not going to. So that was how the lines of communication started off. And by the end, he didn't give me the chicken lips. He didn't give me the, the fish eye we can all get from our wives.
Yeah.
He didn't give me that look because he trusted that we were on a journey together where we both got better together. And we proved with him that there's no reason you can't do at 45 what you did at 25 if you follow the process and the science-based information and instruction. And it's carried over into the Drew Breeses and the Tom Bradys.
Yeah.
It carried over to a guy named Jamie Moyer, which is more of my kind of guy. Jamie pitched till he was 48.
Love
and that was unheard of when I first signed. So you see how it kind of all it feeds itself. And that's I think right now we're just touching the surface of what could be done for a larger group of athletes.
Well, there's no doubt. And I truly do believe that Mustard is going to be a pioneer and at the forefront of this evolution digitally in terms of enhancing the knowledge and the communication athletes and coaches both have and are eager to learn and consume as well as digest and give out. But I do have to correct you because you said, and at the end, this is what we had with no, Doc. At the end, how the throwing mechanics stuff ends is with you on a private jet to Tampa Bay to help the greatest living quarterback, the greatest quarterback in the history of our world, in the history of Everdom. That's how this ends. You are coaching 22 of the 32 NFL quarterbacks in the game. Again, 10th man in the bullpen from 1974 has his fingerprints all over the NFL. So how does that happen? Was it Nolan in the football? Fast forward, and now it's you, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady just chucking the pigskin around?
It's all the above. I wish I could give you a definitive answer on the timing when it happened, and it's just kind of happened organically. The one thing I can say is that every interaction I've had with any age athlete, we've all gone into it with the idea that we're looking to get better and collaborate. You know what baseball's like. A lot of people in baseball point fingers and say how bad they're doing it and how good I'm doing it. I can literally tell you face to face right now, I've never been involved with an interaction where it wasn't collaborative. Very seldom have I ever been around anybody that wanted to confront. So that learning environment, that opened and let's see if we can get better together, is the reason we're talking about this app right now. And I can't tell you, there's silos of expertise. And for me as a coach, to be able to sit down with some of these programmers, these code writers, and take what we know as athletes and turn it into something that a kid can use on his cell phone, that astounds me. It couldn't have happened. It couldn't have happened 20 years ago. No. So, we're at a point in time right now, and you kids are young, you young people are at a point where making a difference now in sport and the power of play is actually possible. So ask me if every day I get up in the morning, I'm going, yippee, what the hell, what's going to happen good today?
Right.
And here we are now. I just stepped out of a COVID line and got a shot. I'm in Coronado, California with the bay right behind me. My wife is actually holding the cell phone. So, well, and look, we're actually getting a message out to people about something that could improve their sports lives and their real lives. It doesn't get any better than that. Did that
No.
make sense?
It makes total sense. What you have, I want to know this because you have an inside track that a lot of folks do not have and would love to be able to tap into. And for the kids that are listening, because Doc, we've got a lot of coaches, we've got a lot of young kids who are on the verge of making that step from high school to college, knocking on the doors of getting a paycheck to do this thing now. Out of the elite athletes that you have worked with, if you can think of one, what is a common denominator? What is a common thread amongst the great athletes? Not guys like me that came to the camps, the great athletes.
This genetically predisposed need to get better every day at something. And I'm not talking about 20% better. I'm talking about 1% better every stinking day. And if it's not mechanics, it's going to be strength. And if it's not strength, it's going to be mental emotional. If it's not mental emotional, it's going to be recovery. But in some combination with all the variables involved, they try to get better every day. That is the differentiator for me between the everyday and the elite. The teach and the analysis itself, the only difference between a 12-year-old trying to get better and a Hall of Famer are the lights and the paycheck. But the same commitment to excellence for the guys that are Hall of Famers is the ones that are they do it every stinking day.
I'm curious now because there is so much information and data in Major League Baseball right now. Is there a pitcher in the league right now that you watch on TV and you say to yourself, like, this guy has all the talent in the world, but if I could just get in a room with him for a few hours, I could make him take the next step to become, even better, like elite?
Okay, that's a real good question. And here's an observation. I think the pitching coaches out there and the conditioning coaches out there are the best they've ever been. The idea that if you look at the best of the best, do what they do, first time measurable and deliverable. The hard part right now is the fact that access is hard. And, in times like what we're going through with the COVID stuff, kids that should be on the field learning from their failures, learning from their successes, learning that the process is more important than the outcome, is all being basically assigned to what you and I are doing right now. We're using electronics to, get the message across. So if I could hit a magic button, is to have everybody realize that as soon as possible, the power of play. They don't call it working sports; they call it playing sports. And playing sports will allow young, boys and girls to understand in order affiliation. They're going to learn that expectations may or may not be met, but failure doesn't mean they're a failure. You learn more from your failures than you do your successes. The fact that they have to deal with adversity, they have to understand empathy, all the things that sports teach through the power of play should be put in front of every kid as early as possible and have them stay with their sport as long as they can. We know the research shows if they can stay with the sport through high school, there's a fan for life. That person is physically fit more than someone that doesn't play a sport through high school. And the combination of both make family, friends, and community that much more efficient.
I mean, you said something just now that it hit me like a ton of bricks, and it makes a ton of sense because you said you learn way more through your failures. And Dallas is one of the smartest baseball guys that I know.
Well, and we can tongue in cheek say that the reason I'm so good as a teacher is because I know more than anybody else what the hell doesn't work.
Yep.
But if you don't mind, I'm going to go a little academic on you here.
Yes,
sure.
Kids who fail or kids who have trouble solving a problem, even if they fail or can't solve the problem, the effort that they put into the mental emotional process of trying to solve the problem will actually teach them more than someone that tells them what to do, when to do, and how to do. So that kind of gets lost. We live in an outcome world, and it gets lost on everybody that while it breaks your heart to see your kid fail, my mom used the words, if it doesn't kill you, it's a good experience.
Sure.
So I'm not saying the kids have to go out and try to get killed, but let the parents and the kids understand, go ahead and screw something up. Ask yourself why, learn from it. If you have trouble understanding geometry, beat your head against the wall, try. The fact that you're dealing with something forces you to think as well as feel, and that combination is the power of play.
That is a great segue into my next question, because as a pioneer, as somebody who's been on the forefront and the precipice of the evolution of throwing mechanics, pitching mechanics, there's a ton of trial and error. There is a ton of failure involved, probably more so than the successes. So you, for somebody who's spent 50 plus years racking their brain on how to get better, can you think of something that early on you were implementing or you were trying to do that you look back at now and you've long since made the adjustment and said, what the heck was I thinking then? That doesn't work. Or, why did we even try that? And sure, there's answers, but can you think of something that so many years ago, you're just thinking, what were we thinking trying that?
Oh, I do that every day. I go back and think when I first started being involved with teaching kids with the San Diego School of Baseball in 1969, my teach was rotate, collect, drop, and drive.
Oh,
and I had some really cool words.
Sure.
Had no friggin' clue what they meant. Today, it's timing, sequencing, and the 7 or 8 variables that actually, in a regression analysis, are what you need to throw a ball efficiently to get the most force or spin on a ball between the closest point, between release point and home plate, with the most efficiency in acceleration and deceleration. Literally, it's that simple. And it gets even easier. GFF, go friggin' fast. Notice how I'm cleaning it up for you guys.
Sure.
Go friggin' fast, keep your eyes level, firm up your front side, and drag your back foot. So you see how it's morphed into a simple teach. We've got to get it in the kids' hands. And in today's artificial intelligent world, realize that sports are the last hope to humanize artificial intelligence. That's the mission I'm on. And the fact that you guys are allowing me to talk about mustard in this venue, if I was there, I'd give you a big hug. I don't know how politically correct that is.
I'm a hugger.
Well, I'm a hugger too. Yeah,
right.
You're vaccinated. Awesome. We're all good.
Yeah, as long as we wear our masks, we're good. So
yeah.
Can you go ahead?
No, Bill, please. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm from my wife, and I don't know if you have a spouse in you, but I'm getting what I call the fish eye or the stink eye. So I'm doing.
Let's keep it moving.
I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what it is. So let me ask real quick. What do we need, honey?
You have another one.
Oh, I didn't realize. We're getting carried away. I guess I'm stacked up with another interview right behind you guys.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
So tell me what. Ask me one more, and we'll move on. And promise we can do this again. Is that fair?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll ask you, because you've had a very storied life in the game of baseball, and we will be circling back around, no doubt about it.
That's a promise. You'll do that.
No, yeah, okay. I'm telling you that's a promise. I'm going to be bothering you. We ask each and every one of our guests this question. So if you could jump in a hot tub time machine,
just like a regular time machine, like you've seen those in the movies, yeah.
Hot tub time machine, and you're going back in time to any moment in baseball history to witness, which moment would it be and why?
And you've already been there for one of the most commonly picked answers. So that's kind of cheating.
So that's unfair. You don't get to pick that one. No there for Hank breaking the record. You were there. You lived it.
You're already there.
I'll tell you what, I've lived 2 of them. Watching Henry Aaron, 715, watching Nolan Ryan, 7th no-hitter. I would literally, if I had a wish list, I would like to go back and be a teammate for Sandy Koufax in 1966. I think the Dodgers won the World Series when he beat the Minnesota Twins, throwing 111 fastballs and 1 curveball. Are you guys aware that Sandy Koufax beat the Minnesota Twins throwing 1 curveball in a 9-inning complete game? I would give anything, and they don't have it on film. We can see the numbers. I literally, if I could go back in time, I want to just be a bug on the wall and watch that outing.
That's just showing off at that point.
I have our new favorite answer. That's my new favorite answer right there.
Yeah.
We've gotten a ton of answers, never gotten that one. That is incredible. Wow.
You're awesome, guys.
Wow, Doc.
So I'll pal around. Thank you so much. I'll pal around with you guys anytime.
Sounds good. Thanks for the time, Doc. Dr. Tom House, ladies and gentlemen.
Teammustard.com.
There you go.
Beautiful. Done deal.
See you guys.
Take it easy. Stay safe.
All right, bye-bye. You bet.